Today, I'm going to be picking the worst and best songs on every Smashing Pumpkins album ever. Disclaimer, I'm not going to be including the album Zeitgeist and that secret online Machina 2 album that was posted online in the 2000s. Basically, I'm starting from Gish all the way to Oceania. And yes, that's how you pronounce it. It took me forever to find out how to actually pronounce it till I heard Billy Corgan say it in an interview. Before I get into the video though, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a bunch. We are at 11K. I want to reach 20. 100, a million K. Starting off with legendary album Gish, 1991 release. I will do worst to best just for, entertaining aspect. So the worst song is Window Pane. And my reasoning for this is because I believe the slow build-up doesn't really pay off like other songs on this album. That I'll talk about that in a little bit. But Window Pane kind of just feels a little bit slow, too slow for me. And I don't really care if it's slow, fast, whatever. It just doesn't hit. Also, I guess I should have said this in the beginning of the video. Some people think whenever I say the worst, that means it's the worst thing in the world. It's a terrible song. It's garbage. And no, most of the time, an album is pretty gas all the way through. And the worst song might just be a song I don't really want to listen to. And in this case, I would say Window Pane kind of is in that sort of lane where it's not the worst song I've listened to in my entire life, but I would skip it for sure. I guess some other details I could talk about within Window Pane. Whenever I listen to Window Pane, I think of a desert. You know, it's just a very sunny, hot desert, and you're stuck there. And this is the song that would be in the background. And not the worst thing to be in the background, but that's kind of what I think of. By the way, I got on my Zero shirt. I think it's very appropriate for this type of video. Smashing Pumpkins Zero. Heck yeah. Now the best song on Gish, without a doubt, Rhinoceros. And you guys know how I mentioned in Window Pane, there's a slow buildup that doesn't really achieve greatness. Rhinoceros does have that slow buildup, but the payoff is grandiose. It is perfection. I love the buildup. I love the lyrics. It kind of gets you a little bit confused, but after a few seconds, it starts feeling and sounding relatable. So my general Smashing Pumpkins hot take is that not only is Rhinoceros the best song on Gish, but Rhinoceros is Smashing Pumpkins' best song, period, point blank. Yes, that includes Siamese Dream, every song on there, Infinite Sadness, every song on there, Adore, every song on there. I don't even think, I guess it could be close for some people, but to me, I just think that Rhinoceros is hands down such a beautiful tune from start to finish. It feels very sensitive, and a lot of songs are like that because Billy Corgan might be a sensitive person with his lyrics and storytelling. Rhinoceros just kicks butt cheeks. Moving on to Siamese Dream, iconic as can be. Smashing Pumpkins, probably holy grail. And I don't know, you could debate that in the comments. But the best song? No, I'm starting with the worst. The worst song on here is Silver F Word. I don't know if I really want to say that word. I've said it before. I'll just say it right now. Silver fuck. Yeah, it's fine. In terms of Siamese Dream standards, there's better songs and stuff. But it's, again, kind of like Gish, where the worst song on here and the worst song I'm saying isn't a terrible song. It's just whatever. It's fine. You know what I mean? I don't believe there's a song that deserves a lot of slander. So yeah, that's my pick for the worst song on here. It's a little Sonic Youth-esque. A lot of crashing down, crash out jam session, I guess. And not a bad type of noise, but it's fine. Now the best song, I try to argue within myself, but I don't know why I try to do that. Because you shouldn't try to be different all the time. Sometimes the greatness is right there in front of you, and you have to take it for what it is. And I think the best song on here is Cherub Rock. Of course, some people could go with other iconic songs on there. You got Today, Disarm, all that stuff. But my question is to you and people in the comment sections, what's the second best song on Siamese Dream? Because I believe the second best is probably a more interesting conversation. And the best or second best song on there is Hummer. And to me, dude, that song crushes Today and Disarm. Never been a huge fan of Disarm. Today, funny riff. I like the riff. And it's cool. It's not a bad song. But Hummer kicks ass. And Disarm, I know, has like a story within Billy Corgan and all that stuff, personal stuff, all that jazz. But to me, Disarm has always been butt cheeks. I've never been a fan of it. And I know some people are going to be like, how do you think Disarm is so bad, but you didn't put it as the worst? I can think something's bad, but you got to look at it with an objective type of point of view. and it's not the worst song on there. I'd rather listen to Disarm than Silverfuck. So, yeah, I'm just being objective, man. Otherwise, I would have put it at the worst, but I don't think that's objectively true. All right, next album, Melancholy. And this is probably going to be a lose-lose situation for myself and anyone that tries to find out what the best and worst song on this album is. I think the worst song on here is, man, I don't even really have an answer for this. I picked Where Boys Fear to Tread, and I listened to that song and I'm like, this is not even a bad song, dude. But I used to be a Melancholy hater, like for real. I was like, this album is so overrated. There's so many skips in here. But over the past couple of years, I've been listening, and I don't think that statement is true whatsoever. I think it's kind of whack to think that, because if you go through the whole album, there are some moments where you're like, I guess you could skip it, but there's so many pretty songs in there. There's so many songs with killer riffs. It's a bunch of different stuff to look at, and sometimes I don't want the same thing over and over again, and that's kind of what this album gives you. It gives you a bunch of different flavors, and I dig it. But I guess that's the worst song on here, Where Boys Fear to Tread, and I don't even believe it, so you can flame me or whatever, but that's what I'm going with. And I've seen a lot of people say that the worst song on here is Take Me Down, and I don't really agree with that, man. I believe James E. Haas sings on that song, and it's like this acoustic thing, and I think it's very beautiful. Maybe it's out of place on this type of album, but I don't even think that. I know a lot of people think that, but no, dude, I think that song's pretty killer. It's something different, and that's kind of what this album provides, something different every time you listen to it. And I was a fan of that. I was like, damn, this dude needs to sing a little bit more within the band, because that was kind of Nick Drake-esque, it was a little bit acousticy and just, in the feelings. So yeah, I guess I didn't really have a strong statement for the worst song, but I do have a strong opinion on the best song, and that is XYU. Yes. Out of all the songs on here, XYU is beautiful. It's amazing. XYU Supremacy, Over Zero, Over Butterfly, Butt Cheek Wings, all that stuff, dude, over all of those songs, and I'll tell you why right now. Now, there's a bunch of songs on this album that provide a certain type of intensity, but I don't think any other song except XYU has this sort of uncomfortable intensity, and that's what really gravitates me towards the song, because it is so badass, and it's kind of like you kind of want to look away, because I don't even know what the story's about, but it's pretty uncomfortable when you read the lyrics, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? What happened to my man Billy Corgan? Let me know something in the bottom of the comments. I don't really know the story behind it, but I was listening to that, and I was watching live sessions on YouTube, or not sessions, but live performances. And when I listened to that, I was like, this demon is possessing Billy Corgan right now. And I thought it was badass. So yeah, man, you can go with your 1979s, you can go with all those types of songs. I wouldn't even fight you on that. But I strongly believe that XYU is without a doubt that one song that just, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the best song on here. And I wonder if there's any other XYU lovers out there. Hopefully you don't think I'm trying to be different too much, but I strongly believe this statement with everything in me. I don't know, man. I just remember hearing it for the first time, and I was like, why does nobody ever really talk about this song? This song kicks ass. It's badass. And I feel like there's always that one song on this album that everybody goes to that feels like there should be more love. This is that song for me. And yeah, dude, like I said, XYU Supremacy, badass song. The band just explodes whenever you see it live or just listening to it. Moving on to Adore, 1998, I believe. And hell yeah, dude, I used to have this in my top 2 Smashing Pumpkins albums ever, and I still kind of feel that way. To be honest. So, the worst song on here is The Tale of Dusty and Pistol Pete. Someone let me know if I'm crazy, but I believe that this album has no bad songs. No bad songs whatsoever. I can go through the whole thing. It's a breeze. It's literally like listening to a goth fall or something. I don't even know. A winter snowy session of life. I don't know. Something like that. It's very beautiful, and it's a lot about love and sorrow. I think this album was around the time Jimmy Chamberlain, their drummer, was fired from the group, and that sucked. But I don't know, I feel like they never really tapped into this type of sound again and this approach again. And I am such a big fan of this album. The worst song on here, I don't even think is a worst song. Kind of like Melancholy. Moving on to the best song on Adore. I would say the best song is Tear. It's so tragic sounding. It's so sad, dude. It's a sad sounding song. And there's these beautiful musical instruments in the background. What's it called? Freaking, I don't even know. Like the fancy instruments. It's one of those albums where I was entertained throughout the whole entire thing. I didn't really get bored. The song Pug, gas. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Perfect, gas. What are we talking about? I feel like at this point I haven't been so controversial, and maybe I have been, and I didn't really notice it, but there might be some comments that agree or disagree. It is what it is. In my last video that I did, I already said it a million times. I did a Deftones one. Absolutely destroyed, obliterated. I was concussed for a couple days after that. After reading all those comments, I was like, no shot. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys haven't been mad at these takes so far. Okay, moving on to the next album, Machina. The worst song on here is Heavy Metal Machine. I feel like the riff saves this from being a terrible song. Dude, Heavy Metal Machine, it literally says heavy metal like a lot of times in this song. And I get it. I don't know, maybe he just wanted a heavier song down on the track list, but it just felt corny. It was repetitive. It was boring. I feel like a lot of people are going to agree with me on the best song on this album, and that is The Everlasting Gaze. What a killer song, a killer music video. You watch that music video and you're like, dude, it's pretty epic. This album, I believe Jimmy Chamberlin comes back from being fired, all that stuff, which is good. And Melissa Oftermar from Hole is filling in for Darcy, or replaces Darcy, something like that. And she does a pretty badass job on there. Moving on, like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not going to be talking about Zeitgeist and that Machina 2 album that was posted online when I wasn't even born. So, you know, it's on YouTube and stuff, so I could probably talk about it, but I don't know. I don't think that's fair. And Zeitgeist, I don't know, it's just not on streaming platforms. The worst song on here is Pale Horse, and I don't know, it's very boring. I feel like I've heard like 10 songs like that from the Smashing Pumpkins, so I was very uninterested, a major skip. And the best song on this album is the Chimera, whatever. That is probably the closest you'll get to a Siamese Dream type of riff and song. So that was a treat whenever I listened to that for the first time. Also, I wanted to talk about this album a little bit just because I feel like it's overlooked, a little bit overhated, a little bit, I don't know if it's underrated, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. I don't even know if I mentioned why I'm not going to be talking about the most recent couple albums that Smashing Pumpkins has released. Man, it's just been whatever from them since probably Oceania, in my opinion. I know there's probably some songs in there. I believe one of them that I really liked from a couple years ago, I forgot what album it was on, but it was called Witch. I liked that song. It was a little bit different. His vocals were a little bit different, you know, times change. But yeah, that riff was killer. I thought that song was good, but it just wasn't worth talking about in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know how you OG Smashing Pumpkins fans feel either. Is it a hit or miss? I don't know. We kind of just listened to Siamese Dream and Gish and Adore and Melancholy, all that stuff, Machina, you know, so that's kind of why I just didn't talk about these most recent albums. But that is pretty much it from me. Let me know if I'm tripping or if I'm literally spitting facts. I guess this is kind of a series now, so let me know what band you want to hear from me talk about, that worst, best songs, discography, all those albums. Let me know. Some different band, you know? Okay. Like and subscribe. Keep the music alive. Smashing Pumpkins will never die.